If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea.
I certainly think the president is right when he says North Korean behavior has pacified quite a great deal over the past year. Our own research at CSIS shows that whenever the United States is in a negotiation with North Korea, an ongoing negotiation with North Korea does not do these sorts of things. They don't test missiles, they don't do nuclear tests. That's not just a function of the Trump administration. That has been the pattern historically going back for over 30 years. So I think the most important thing is that this second summit has to produce tangible results. And what I mean by that is the first summit in Singapore this past summer led to a joint statement that was had a lot of principles in it, but no real substance. It was essentially an agreement on what the outcome of these negotiations should be, which is denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, a peace treaty ending the Korean War, and normal relations between the United States and North Korea. But there was really no progress in implementing any of those principles in the 7 months after the Singapore summit. You know, usually with summits, you have a lot of prep work that's done in advance. Ideally, you want 99% of the summit outcome negotiated in advance before the two leaders meet. So one big challenge is that that's not going to happen in this case. Maybe 30% or less will be negotiated in advance before the two leaders step into the room. The other big challenge, I think, is trying to keep everybody on the U.S. side coordinated. South Korea right now is moving much faster in terms of engagement with North Korea. Japan has been left behind, right, because the North Koreans won't talk to them. And then Japan-South Korea relations are extremely bad right now. Third challenge has to do with China. China enables North Korea. They were being tough on North Korea towards the end of 2017, but have really reestablished all their economic ties with North Korea, and that makes it much harder for the United States to get North Korea to do the things we want them to do. You know, the president has a great deal of confidence. He talks directly to the North Korean leader, which nobody else in the world can say they do, except maybe the Chinese president. You know, I think the real test is whether it actually leads to an agreement that we can be happy with, right? If it does lead to an agreement that we can be happy with, then people are going to have to give the president credit. However, if it fails, it's going to look very bad for him, because this is the one place in the entire world that the United States is doing diplomacy. We're in trade disputes around the world, we're doing other sorts of things, we're pulling out of conflicts, but this is the only place where we're doing diplomacy. So it's going to be a real test, and it will be written about as either a huge success or a massive failure of Trump's diplomacy.